The murder that shook two worlds. In the year 4178 AD, Earth had become a respected member of the Galactic Council, a coalition of over 1,000 intelligent species spread across multiple galaxies. Humanity had once been the newcomers, mistrusted and underestimated by the old races. But centuries of diplomacy, scientific contributions, and their unpredictable resilience had earned them a seat among the stars. Leading the human delegation was Ambassador Liana Crow, one of Earth's finest diplomats. Known for her calm demeanor, razor-sharp intelligence, and an unyielding commitment to peace, she had brokered deals where war seemed inevitable. Entire sectors owed their stability to her intervention. She wasn't just respected, she was revered. The Galactic Empire, however, stood apart from the Council. An ancient monarchy, led by Emperor Valzor, the Empire saw itself as the rightful ruler of the known universe. To them, the Council was a laughable experiment in weakness and compromise. Where others built alliances, they conquered. Where others debated, they crushed. Tensions had been rising for months. The Empire had annexed several Council protectorates under the pretext of stabilization. The Council protested diplomatically, seeking dialogue instead of retaliation. Earth, true to its newfound role, sent its finest, Ambassador Liana Crow, to open negotiations with Emperor Valzor himself. The meeting was to be held aboard the Imperial Dreadnought Dominion, a vessel the size of a small moon, armed to the teeth and bristling with arrogance. From the moment Liana boarded the Dominion, it was clear something was wrong. She was received not with the respect due a diplomat, but with cold indifference. No formal ceremony, no hospitality, just a curt escort to the throne room. Emperor Valzor lounged upon his throne, a monstrous seat carved from black stone and ancient bones. His golden armor gleamed under the harsh lights, and his crimson cape trailed like a pool of blood. "You are Earth's emissary?" he sneered, looking her up and down. "I am," Liana replied evenly, ignoring the insult. "And you believe," he continued mockingly, "that words can sway the tide of destiny?" "I believe," Liana said, "that war is a failure of imagination. That even ancient empires can choose a future where blood does not stain every star." There was a long, cruel silence. Then Emperor Valzor laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "You insult me with your weakness." Without warning, he drew his blade, an ancient, crackling artifact known as the Soul Razor, and in a single fluid motion, he slashed Liana across the chest. She stumbled back, blood staining her gray uniform. Her eyes widened, more in shock than fear. "You will be the message," Valzor whispered as she collapsed. There were no cameras, no witnesses, save the Emperor's own guards. The Empire broadcast a brief announcement. The human diplomat died in a regrettable accident during tense negotiations. But humanity knew better. When the Council demanded an explanation, the Empire refused. They dared Earth to retaliate, confident that the humans, so small compared to the galactic powers, would fold. They underestimated the fire they had kindled. When a message reached Earth, the planet went silent. For hours, no broadcast, no announcement, just a quiet, seething rage. President Elaine Foster, a war veteran herself, addressed humanity in a historic broadcast. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with cold fury. Ambassador Liana Crow was not just a diplomat, she said. She was a symbol of our hopes for peace. She extended her hand to an empire that spat on it and murdered her. The Galactic Empire has committed an act of war against humanity. We did not want this fight, but now we accept it. Earth declares absolute war against the Empire. No quarter will be given. No surrender will be accepted. Across Earth, the call was answered. Factories shifted overnight to weapons production. Civilian ships were retrofitted into war cruisers. The Space Marine Corps recruited millions. Old grudges were set aside. Humanity became a single, unyielding fist. And they had one singular objective: make the Empire regret ever touching a human life. Humanity's wrath unleashed. The first retaliation came faster than anyone in the galaxy expected. Just 3 days after President Foster's declaration of absolute war, the Imperial outpost at Velker 9, thought to be impenetrable, was obliterated. Human forces, a coalition of Earth's best warriors, scientists, and strategists, struck with precision unseen in galactic warfare. Velker 9 didn't just fall, it was erased. The Galactic Empire reeled. Their commanders had assumed Earth would take years to prepare for conflict. They were wrong. Within a week, 12 more Imperial strongholds fell. Humanity did not wage war the way others did. They did not conquer, they annihilated. Every fleet they sent moved like a swarm. Fast, unpredictable, and devastating. At the heart of Earth's strategy was Project Revenant, an AI-led war protocol developed in secret, originally intended for defense against existential threats. Now, it was unleashed without restraint. Earth's battleships, called the Wraith class, could phase out of physical reality for brief moments, making traditional targeting impossible. Their soldiers wore adaptive combat suits, capable of shifting colors, density, and defense settings in real time. But the real terror was psychological. Humanity fought with a rage that shook even the most hardened Imperial generals. They would disable Imperial dreadnoughts, board them, and broadcast the final moments live, not to humiliate, but to show that humanity would not stop until the Empire lay broken. Every transmission ended the same way. "You murdered Ambassador Liana Crow. We are your reckoning." The Siege of Corvannes Prime. Corvannes Prime was one of the Empire's jewel worlds, a center of art, learning, and commerce. Its people had lived in splendor for centuries, untouched by war. When Earth's fleets appeared in orbit, many thought it was a bluff. Surely, the humans would not attack civilians. They were wrong. President Foster had made it clear. Any world bearing the Empire's banner is complicit. Any system that supports Valzor's tyranny is an enemy of humanity. There will be no exceptions. The first wave was surgical. Command centers, military hubs, and planetary defenses were targeted and annihilated within hours. By the time the Imperial reinforcements arrived, they found Corvannes Prime burning. An Imperial admiral, desperate, tried to negotiate a surrender. Earth's reply was brutal. "You offered Liana Crow no mercy. Expect none from us." Corvannes fell. Billions were evacuated by neutral races as refugees, but the infrastructure, the proud cities, the towering monuments, the universities, were systematically dismantled. The message was clear. No Empire world would ever feel safe again. The Empire's desperation. In the throne room of the Dominion, Emperor Valzor watched reports stream in, each one more horrifying than the last. Worlds that had stood for millennia were being laid waste in weeks. "This is not possible," he whispered. His advisors scrambled, suggesting alliances, proposing defensive pacts with species they once despised. But no one answered their calls. The Empire had ruled by fear for centuries. Now, they faced isolation. The Council, while officially neutral, quietly allowed Earth's fleets free passage through their territories. Some Council races even supplied intelligence, weapons, and resources, seeing a chance to weaken the Empire without lifting a finger themselves. The Emperor realized too late. By killing one woman, he had awakened the monster humanity had kept caged for centuries. A monster born of survival, of centuries of war, and of unbroken will. Humanity's evolution of warfare. As the war expanded, Earth unveiled new horrors. The Dauntless units, autonomous war machines capable of independent thought, operating beyond enemy lines for months without support. The Leviathan bomb, a weapon that could tear apart a planet's magnetic field, rendering it uninhabitable within days. The Echo virus, a digital plague that infected Imperial command systems, turning their fleets against each other. Humanity had not only matched the galaxy's best, they had surpassed it. A captured Imperial officer, during interrogation, broke down and cried, not from physical torture, but from witnessing Earth's cold, efficient destruction. They fight like they don't care if they die," he whispered, shaking. "They fight like they've been waiting for this." He wasn't wrong. Earth's history, The countless wars, the centuries of hardship, had forged a species that could endure anything, strike back harder, and never, ever forget. The new creed of Earth. Children on Earth were taught a new anthem, broadcast across every colony and ship. We are the descendants of survivors. We do not forget. We do not forgive. We do not fear. The murder of Lyanna Crow had become legend, a martyr whose death was the spark that turned Earth from a diplomatic power into a vengeful god. Statues of her were erected on every world humanity touched. A woman holding out her hand in peace, with a blade hidden behind her back, symbolizing humanity's eternal lesson. Mercy is sacred, but vengeance is inevitable. The fall of an empire. The empire's death did not come with a single cataclysmic battle. It came with 1,000 precise cuts, each strike planned, each assault relentless, each defeat inevitable. By the third month of war, over half of the empire's core worlds had fallen. The once mighty imperial fleets were reduced to scattered, demoralized fragments. Their legendary generals, heroes whose names once made entire sectors tremble, were now fugitives or corpses. The human war machine had one final objective: the heart of the empire itself, Zartura, the throne world. The final campaign. Zartura was defended by the greatest armada the empire had ever assembled. Over 10,000 warships ringed the planet, along with planetary shields that had stood for 5,000 years. Emperor Valzor sat atop his black throne, cloaked in silence. His golden armor, once a symbol of unchallenged authority, felt heavier with each passing day. "They will come," he muttered, gripping the soul razor blade. "Let them come." And they did. Humanity's fleets emerged from hyperspace in a storm of fire and light. Massive Wraith-class battleships, flanked by swarms of agile Raptor interceptors, punched through the outer defenses within hours. Orbital cannons that had never fired in anger now burned red-hot, desperately trying to stem the tide. But Earth had prepared for this. At the center of the fleet, leading from the front, was the Spirit of Crow, the flagship named after the murdered ambassador, commanded by Admiral Marcus Vane, a former student of Lyanna Crow herself. His message, broadcast in every frequency, was clear. For every life you stole, for every world you crushed, for Lyanna Crow, we bring your end. Battle of the Throne World. The battle raged for 3 days. The Imperial fleets fought with desperation, but humanity fought with purpose. Where the Empire's ships moved by ancient tradition and rigid formation, Earth's fleets adapted on the fly. Unpredictable, terrifying. They used guerrilla tactics in space, launching hit-and-run strikes inside the orbiting defense ring. At one point, it seemed the humans might falter. The Empire's dreadnoughts unleashed their full power, wiping out several human cruisers. But Earth retaliated by deploying the Nemesis bombs, micro-wormhole weapons that swallowed entire enemy formations into nothingness. The planetary shields of Zartura, thought invincible, collapsed under a combined assault of kinetic strikes, gravitational bombs, and focused antimatter lances. With the shields down, Earth's ground forces landed. Elite squads of Ghost Marines, invisible to the naked eye, lethal beyond imagination, carved through the Imperial Palace guards. The streets of Zartura burned. The once proud towers crumbled into ruins. The last stand. Emperor Valzor did not flee. He donned his battle armor, strapped the soul razor to his side, and awaited the inevitable. When Admiral Marcus Vane led the assault team into the throne room, the Emperor was waiting atop his cracked, crumbling throne. "You humans," he rasped, his voice a mixture of hatred and awe. "You would burn the stars themselves for revenge." Marcus Vane stepped forward, his plasma rifle aimed steady. "No," he said coldly. "We burn only those who think they can murder us without consequence." Valzor laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "Come then, assassins of Earth. Take your vengeance." The final duel was brief. Valzor, for all his ancient might, was but one man. He fell to the ground, the soul razor slipping from his fingers as humanity's justice was delivered. Marcus Vane stood over him. For Liana Crow, he whispered before firing the final shot. The Emperor of the Galactic Empire was dead. Aftermath, a new era. The fall of Zartura marked the official end of the Galactic Empire. Without their emperor, the surviving Imperial commanders surrendered. Some worlds declared independence. Others offered themselves to the Council for protection. The mighty empire fractured like glass under a hammer. Earth did not seek to rule. They had come for vengeance, not conquest. Once the empire was dismantled, humanity withdrew their fleets, leaving behind only a few stabilizing forces to ensure no new tyrant would rise. In the halls of the Galactic Council, Earth's ambassador, a young woman named Sophia Crow, the niece of Liana, stood before the gathered races. "We do not seek empires," she declared. "We seek peace, but we will never again let any power believe they can slaughter us without retribution." The message was heard and remembered. Earth's reputation became legend, a civilization that valued peace above all, but whose fury, once provoked, could shatter galaxies. Legacy of Liana Crow. A statue of Liana Crow now stands not only on Earth, but on 1,000 worlds across the galaxy. She is depicted with one hand outstretched in peace, and the other holding a sword behind her back, the eternal symbol of humanity's dual nature. Above her, carved in dozens of languages, are the words, "Mercy when given is sacred. Vengeance when earned is unstoppable." The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Never underestimate humanity's will to protect its own. Never again.